Jurisdictions have been working on the problem, such as Homeland Security, New Jersey State Police, NYPD, Prosecutor's Office, and local police departments. The Maplewood Police Department exchanged crime information with the New Jersey State Police and other agencies for analysis and up-to-date information. In New Jersey, vehicle theft this year has decreased since last year. In January, Maplewood last year had 9 vehicle thefts, and January this year we've had 9 vehicle thefts. So we're right on the same as we were last year. The January Maplewood Part 1 crimes. Last year in January 2022, we had 4 robberies at this time. This year we have 1. So we are down from the amount of robberies we had last year at this time. The one robbery we had was the one next to the Wawa on Jacoby Street. That's the one we had in January. January, we had no burglaries in January 2022, and we have 0 burglaries in January 2023. In January 2022, we had 12 thefts. This year we have 17. We're up 5 thefts since last year. The thefts include the usual shoplifting, theft of packages, rummaging through unlocked vehicle doors. Those are the main thefts we have. Those are the Part 1 crimes. The Uniform Crime Report for up to date to today. Again, we still have 1 robbery up to date from this year, and we had 4 last year up to date to today. Last year assaults, we had 10 last year. We have 12 this year. So we're up 2 from this time last year. Burglaries have decreased from last year. We had 4 last year, and we have 2 this year up to now. Both our burglaries were during overnight hours when the perpetrators entered the unsecured door or window of a home and removed car keys from the kitchen area. The actors then stole, in both burglaries, BMW vehicles from the driveway. Both burglaries are similar, and these type of burglaries are similar across the state. So we're not the only ones getting these kind of burglaries. Union had them, Lilburn, all across the state. Same type of burglary. They'll try to get a high-end vehicle. If the door's locked, they'll go into an unsecured door or window, go to the kitchen area. They do not confront the homeowner. They grab the keys. They go back out to the driveway and they take the vehicle. The Detective Bureau has been working on these cases with other jurisdictions and recovered the stolen vehicles in our burglaries. They have gone out and done some crime scene with those vehicles to try to get some leads. And I think we do have a couple leads in some of these cases. So hopefully next time we speak, I'll have some more information on that, but they're following up on a few leads.
Chief?
Yes.
Do the actors drive through and find the cars and then come back and break in, or is it just spontaneous that they ride around and see a car?
They're driving around looking for these particular vehicles. So they'll take another stolen vehicle. They'll come in town looking for a particular type of vehicle, and then they will take it if they can, and then they'll drive that car to other towns and try to take other vehicles similar. So I mean, there is a nexus with New York, also. So they're not just joyriding these vehicles. I think they might be trying to sell them or get them, into a container or to that effect. So there's a lot of that going on. But the state police are involved. Homeland Security is involved. They go to state, and so there's a lot going on with these vehicles, and it's all over the state. And these same type of burglaries. Again, we had 2 of them. So so we're on it. We know that's what they're going for, so we are directing our officers to those in those areas that we think they might return.
Thanks.
Yep. Thefts have increased from 29 in 2022 to 35 this year. Again, same type of thefts, shopliftings, rummaging through unsecured vehicles. Motor vehicle thefts have decreased to this time from 23 in 2022 to 10 this year. So we do have a decrease in motor vehicle thefts, but that's consistent with the state. So the state is there is a decrease since last year in motor vehicle thefts. And that's what I have regarding our crime in January and up to date.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Do they give I mean, obviously it's for investigative purposes. They probably can't release too many details, but are there like regularly like lists of cars? I know you had mentioned earlier in your statement that there are certain ones that are being potentially targeted so that they can be sold off later.
Yes.
Is there a way of getting that information out to the public? So I don't want to say we're going to scare people. Hey, if you have a BMW, it's a good chance it's going to get stolen, lock it up. But if we make notice that, hey, these are the target cars right now, it might behoove you to lock it up, put your keys someplace it's not easy to get to, lock your doors.
Right. Yes, we can. Yeah. So I think people have become better at locking their vehicles. That's why they're coming into the house. So just got to make sure we can put it out there that, you need to lock your doors and secure your windows, because at the time they're coming, people are asleep. So they'll try to go to the unsecured door, grab the key, and then leave. So yeah, we can get that information out regarding that. And it's mostly it's mostly BMW type vehicles, but they are taking other high-end vehicles as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the overtime report, I'll move on to that. So as far as dispatch, is down by a little bit, $19.72 as far as overtime. But overtime for police and dispatch combined is down $7,747. But our salaries and wages have gone up due to recent raises in January. So that's where I'm at with the overtime report.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to get it to lift up, but my download's going slow. Thank you, Chief. All right, let's move on to the discussion items. Get this to open finally. So I know that there's a resolution being put together. Mr. Schuster had mentioned it at the last meeting in regards to the Tuscan teacher parking. So I didn't actually put that on the agenda for this month, primarily because it's already in process. And as soon as he is able to release that to us, we can let the community know. I really don't understand what's going on with my computer right now, but my apologies. I'm trying to re-pull up the agenda. I have to use my phone. So our So right now we're looking at pedestrian safety, and I know Mr. DeLuca and Mr. Daffish, you were on the call this morning for engineering, public planning, and public works. You have probably more information to share than I, or at least a better grasp of the information than I have in regards to the safety follow-ups regarding engineering. Would you be able to give a quick report on either of those?
Dean, you want to go?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're the chair.
So one of the areas that we're really have paid attention to with a number of steps is around Seth Boyden, actually the triangle from Seth Boyden to Burnett, Tuscan Road. So we've we made the change on Tuscan Road. I'm sorry, on Boyden Avenue and Tuscan Road by moving that crosswalk so that it had more visibility. We are now going to be doing work up at the Tuscan Road, Burnett Avenue intersection where we had the pilot program of no left turns. We're going to now make that permanent. I think I mentioned before, we're going to shrink. Actually, we're going to widen the lanes by making each lane in one direction as opposed to 2 lanes coming out to Springfield. That should help with the truck turns so we don't get the trucks jumping up on the curb like we had before. And another good thing about this is that we're moving back the stop bar on Springfield Avenue quite a distance from the crosswalk. And that crosswalk is used now. That's where the police officer is assigned to cross people across Springfield. So that's going to be a little bit better because right now the crosswalk and the stop bar, less than 10 feet. Now we're talking 30 and one is going to be 50 feet back. So that will give a little more visibility to that intersection. So that's happening. Paul Kittner said this morning that we're going out to get pricing, and the pricing was good. And now we're just trying to find the money to make sure it happens. But I believe that there is money for that to happen. We also talked about the intersection of Jefferson and Maplewood Avenues, and we will be exploring a 4-way stop there. There's a number of concerns about people, obviously the drivers, we've had, crashes there, but also the issues of people crossing there. So we expect that to come back to us, hopefully by our next township committee meeting on the 21st so that we can take some action. We're continuing to move ahead, looking at the intersection of Baker and Ridgewood. In front of the church there, there was a concern about people crossing to go to and from the middle school. And our first pass at that and the design, the pricing came back too high. So we are now doing a couple of tweaks to the plan to get that, see if we can get the bids to come in lower. So we're still moving ahead there. And then we talked a couple other streets, just trying to slow traffic, implement some steps to see what we can do. Chief, one of the things that keeps coming up is, periodic police enforcement at some of these areas, Summit Road and Midland, again, Maplewood and Jefferson. So, what we can do is have you talk with Kittner about some of these streets that we're looking at to see if we can do a little extra attention to them.
Yes, so we get traffic complaints directly to the PD, which we address, and also we'll those problem intersections we can keep doing details at those locations as well.
And I think to supplement, I'm sorry, Vic, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Regarding Maplewood Avenue and Jefferson, we also are looking at a possible 4-way stop further upstream, depending on which direction you're coming from or looking at Walton and Woodland and Jefferson. We discussed that, and I think there's consensus from residents to try that out as a pilot, both 4-way stops. And see where that gets us. Does it mitigate the issue? And then we will look at other progressive measures as necessary.
Yeah. I know that some of the common student crossings, the school zones, a lot of the parents that I've run into recently have been pleased that there seems to be enough time, there seems to be enough coverage for people to get through, but there still are those folks that are chomping at the bit, waiting for the light to change, that almost very NASCAR-like take off once the light turns green. So again, another messaging to put out possibly for communications would be that at certain times in Maplewood, we are in schools, we're in school. So for folks to leave early, to consider maybe an alternative route if they know they're going to be passing through school areas, and just to be a lot more thoughtful. It's understandable. You've got to get to work. Bills need to be paid, but not at the expense of someone's safety, particularly if they're not in a vehicle and you happen to be. The bus stop designations. I didn't get a chance to speak to Paul on this morning. We actually got on that call regarding the grants for from the House, and good news and bad news. There's things that we want to do that probably aren't going to be covered, but there are other things that we didn't expect to be covered. So I know Paul is going to be putting together a report to bring to not only to engineering, planning, and public works, but also to the township committee to alert us of various ways we can use it, because it's only until March the 15th when the deadline is for these applications. But there is a second round that is available through the Senate. So if we don't make the first round, there's a good chance that we may be able to squeak in for some of these improvements, in particular crosswalk lighting, crosswalk painting, the flashing beacons, as well as the hearing assistance devices that have the click, so people know when the light is still when crosswalks are still available for those people who are visually impaired. So there's room for us to do some improvements, maybe not the ones that were on the top of our list, but there's some out there. PSE&G, again, that was something from Paul. I didn't get any new update regarding any movement on those items. Vic, did you hear anything or from him?
No, I haven't. Is this about the road improvements that they're making?
The road improvements, as well as the lighting in the areas that have been identified.
No, I have not.
Okay. So I'll reach out to Paul for a follow-up on that so we can get some data, because there are people who are looking to see when that's going to happen. Some of them have been out for a significant amount of time. To make those changes, they have to be done. All right, Wawa, the security update. Our last meeting, the discussion was had that there was conversations being done with the executive committee of Wawa Regional in regards to the security plan, including hiring off-duty officers to manage the flow. And I can say, for the number of times that my husband has come back and said, hey, I can't get in the Wawa way I used to, that those things are happening. And it is affecting the numbers of folks in there and how they behave, how they come in and how they come out. So I've seen, just for his experience, and shared with me that there has been changes happening in there. They're welcome. Folks are they're towing it. They're making it happen. Have we gotten any word back from Wawa in regards to when we are going to start actually having and who, if we're going to have an officer as well as the car they'd mentioned? What is the next step?
Yeah, so I have an update, and the chief can chime in as well. So yes, I have two things to relay about Wawa. The first, to dovetail on what you just said, which is that the closures in the back, the restricted entry points from 44th and Chancellor, and closing off the parking back there, have definitely reduced some of the quality of life complaints that we were receiving. The chief can attest to this based on the data that he's seeing. The prosecutor has also said the same. And I was really encouraged when I heard the same from our crisis intervention social worker, who said that, she's seeing a lot of the complaints that her neighbors were making go down. So that's a good thing. Regarding the hiring of the MPD off-duty between the hours of 11 and 6 a.m. A couple things here as well. Number one, we probably can't do 11 to 6 a.m. Our shifts work in such a way that the earliest that we could get someone there would be at midnight to 6 a.m. So that's one thing that we're working out with them. The other thing was to share with them our rates. They're not cheap, especially if we are to have an officer present along with the car, which we all agree, including Wawa, is the most comprehensive approach. It's great to have a car there. It feeds into deterrence and greater visibility that MPD is present. So they agreed to the rates recently. And now what we're doing is we're working with legal hours and theirs to fashion an agreement, to put it in writing. We have some concerns that we have relayed to them. What are they? The concerns are that we're afraid that we can't always meet the obligation. You know, we may not, sometimes we have people who are out. We may not be able to have someone there every night, because this is, again, if we're going to do this, it's going to be every single night, every single day from during those overnight hours. So what typically happens in these scenarios is we go to state police and we ask for back assistance. Very common. State police basically does a lot of things for a lot of municipalities off duty. So this is very uncommon. Very common, excuse me. And we heard this morning that state police, or yesterday rather, that state police isn't available. They're already overcommitted. So the next step is to check in with South Orange. Okay. So the chief and I talked about this earlier today. I was getting ready for tonight, doing my homework on this issue, and if the rest of the township committee members agree, I think that we should move forward. We should move forward in a pilot fashion and see how it goes for about 3 months, and not wait to get South Orange in. We can phase in South Orange as they discuss it on their end and their governing body agrees it and blah, 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 blah. But we should not wait. I think we should move forward. Township Attorney Desiderio is ready with an agreement to be signed. Wawa is ready to sign it. They just want to know when we can start. And I think if we have the support of you both here tonight, Mr. DeLuca and Ms. Kripe, you know, Chief, you're going to hear it right here first thing if there's support to just move forward as soon as we can. Is there?
That support from me, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
So why, I guess I'm a little unclear about, I definitely want to do this. I'm a little unclear about why this is not just like a regular paid job where they just contract with the police to get people there. And what is the agreement going to say between Maplewood and Wawa?
It's going to be like that. It's just going to be in writing. Basically, the SOP that we have, we don't have an agreement per se, but we have an SOP, and it's going to be essentially the SOP,
Okay.
right, Chief? That's exactly what it is. And I saw a draft that Roger's putting together.
Right.
But we wanted to make it very clear to them that, you know, there may be some times when we may not have someone available.
Right.
But if that is a recurring thing, then that will tell us what the next step is if this doesn't work.
I think we'll be able to fill it most of the time. I'm just, you know, there'll be certain times where, you know, just something happens, you know, somebody the last thing gets sick and we're unable to fill it, or, you know, those situations.
And Chief, are we limited to South Orange, or I mean, it seems to me any jurisdiction that has paid, you know, a paid police operation. I mean, we've been in Milburn. Milburn's been here. South
Yeah.
Orange.
I
Right.
regularly see Irvington officers in there, so.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
limited. It's not limited.
Yeah, I think we should open it up to
Okay.
you know, whoever we can, as long as
All
they,
right.
you know.
I was kind of going like one municipality at a time. Just
Okay.
I don't want to overdo it, and then, you know, Irvington, we have South Orange and Irvington doesn't get anything, you know. So
Okay.
yeah.
And the South,
I think we should do it right away.
I agree. We went to South Orange because we know the officers, and, you know, Chief Sally and Chief Ernesto, you know, are tight. They know each other, you know, should be an easy thing to roll in. There are some process issues about how we would recruit, or assign rather, someone to the shift, and how South Orange does it. They use an app. So we have to figure out the admin stuff of it, if South Orange is phased in and when they are. But again, I don't want to wait. I think we should just move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
Lastly, this does not, so we do this, right? And it's all good and it's in place. But Wawa still owes us a security plan, and I think there was some miscommunication with them about this. So Ms. De Palma, Prosecutor De Palma, and I had a conversation with them. Was it late last week? I don't know what day it is anymore. But anyway, we made it very clear to them that they owe us a security plan that includes all of the elements, not just securing this arrangement, the off-duty arrangement. And they understand that, which is why they're also eager to get this arrangement in place so that they can include it in their plan.
Thank you.
Work,
Appreciate
great
that.
work.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, so last conception item, or at least the one I have on my list, is crossing guard appreciation. Chief Sally, I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to Sergeant DiCiccio. He had done such an amazing job sitting and talking with Julia and Bailey and myself, just trying to figure out what exactly we were going to do. And he was super generous, super flexible, and actually went out and got the gift cards himself. So I'm planning on writing in a letter to him and everything, thanking him for that personally. But I've spoken to quite a few crossing guards who were shocked and awed that they were given such great things in abundance. So thank you for allowing the right person into that spot to help take care of this. And hopefully there'll be more events like this in the future. I know Ms. Plath and the walk bike run of South Orange Maplewood are looking at doing more things to encourage pedestrians to get out there on our streets. And hopefully there'll be more events like this that we can promote the positive interactions with our law enforcement and community service. So thank you. All right, this point in our meeting, we are opening up to public comment. If there are people in our waiting room or in the general room, Ms. Barnett, would you see if there's anyone who's had their hands up who would like to make a public comment at this time?
Yes, I believe we have one attendee. If you would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand function and we'll convert you over to a panelist. And then I think I also saw somebody's hand raised on our side, but I didn't catch who it was. I was looking at the attendees. Was that
It was
maybe
me.
an accident? Okay.
I clicked the wrong button.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure Katrina had the chance to speak if she wanted to. Oh, okay, she does. So we have no one in the audience, but Katrina has her hand up, so I'll turn the mic over to her.
Hi, everybody. I missed the health report. Those are, I think, are really great and substantive ones. I'm sorry we're not I'm assuming we're not doing that tonight, but I just want to echo and I'm here obviously with the community board on policing. I really am just listening in and taking notes to report back, but I just want to say how happy I am to hear about progress with Wawa, because I think in the time that I've been around, which is a very short period of time, that seems to be the repeat issue. And it probably, is I mean, I'm all for business and commerce, but it probably is a really, really good lesson to think about the next time, such a business comes into, Maplewood or maybe South Orange or Millburn, or someone has to think about that. I just hope, this may be a silly thing, I just hope that the officers who end up working there are not targeted in any way. I just, it's just, I mean, it's probably a silly thing. Officers are perfectly capable of handling themselves, but having one officer there at a time, I would like to make sure the plan includes officer safety as well. Over. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Katrina. I guess
Chief, you want-
Bailey is.
Can the chief respond to that? I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
Right, so, we still have regular patrol in that area, so, I mean, that officer will be dedicated to that location. But we do have officers that's their post, not specifically Wawa's, but that area. So if the officer calls for backup, there's officers nearby to respond to that location.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Right.
Good to know.
Right, and my hope is that the officer will end up being a regular friendly face like we have over by the high school. And at some point, it'll just be another officer that you're just accustomed to seeing on a
Right.
day-to-day basis.
Yeah, even, I'll just give an example, like, we had the basketball game at Columbia High School. And it was a large crowd and we had one officer working there. And, he anticipated that there would probably be a fight before the fight started. and ask for extra officers in the area. So that's the kind of thing at Wawa. If there's a large crowd, you know, the officer will get on the radio and say, I have a large group coming into the Wawa. Can you send extra patrols in the area? So we can get there before something happens, you know, so that's the main thing about an officer being there. He sees it before it happens, so he can anticipate certain things when there's a larger than normal crowd coming to that location. Hopefully we can diffuse it and, de-escalate it before it gets worse.
Sounds good. Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the public?
I see no
That's
hands.
a no. All right. So at this moment, unless there are any other questions or any other information that people want to raise up or in this time, I would call this meeting to be adjourned. And this for us to move into executive session real quickly. No problem. Okay. Thank you for being with us, Katrina.
Do we
I'm
need,
sorry,
do we need to go into
You're
executive
fine.
session?